Hi there, Mr. Holcomb here with another episode of The Math Behind the Modules. This is Module 2, Lesson 9, and we're applying the properties of operations and to add and subtract rational numbers. So this is a lesson on the properties. Okay, many of the students today were saying, why are we doing all these strange steps when I can just do it real quick or put it in my calculator? This is not just trying to find the answer to an addition or subtraction problem. This is learning the properties. So this is just addressing all the properties so we get familiar with them, and we're going to be using them in the future. Okay, so exercise 1 says to unscramble the cards and show the steps in the correct order to arrive at the solution to 5 and 2/9. So this is what we're starting with. Minus 8.1 plus 5 and 2/9. Okay, so that's what we're addressing. This is the original problem. So the first thing I want to do is change it to an addition problem. We're going to change it to addition problems. So it's going to be 5 and 2/9 plus negative 8.1 plus a negative 5 and 2/9. We want to change it to plus a minus. Okay, and when we do that, that is called the opposite of a sum is the sum of its opposites. Okay, if you're confused about this, opposites of a sum is the sum of its opposites, then I would suggest going back to lesson 8, example 1. And that will explain the opposite of the sum is the sum of its opposites. Okay, so which one is this? 5 and 2/9 plus, with outside the parentheses, so it's one of these two, and then negative 1/8, so there's number 1. Okay, now we're going to move on. Now we want to rearrange this so like terms are next to each other. We have a positive 5 and 2/9 and we have negative 5 and 2/9. So I'm going to put 5 2/9 plus negative 5 and 2/9 plus negative 8.1. Okay, so all I did was move my negative 5 and 2/9 here, my negative 8.1 here, and we can rearrange numbers. 3 plus 4 is the same as 4 plus 3, and that is called the commutative property of addition. Okay, that's the commutative property of addition. Order does not matter. So that is this one right here. Okay? Step 3, we're now going to take that 5 and 2/9 and put that in parentheses, like this, and then put the negative 8.1 out here by itself. So I've grouped. So I've moved these parentheses here over to here. That's all I've done. 5 and 2/9, 5 and 2/9, negative 5 and 2/9, negative 5 and 2/9, negative 8.1, negative 8.1. All my terms stayed where they were, but my big parentheses around this group moved to this group here. And when we rearrange parentheses, because that's our order of operations, that is called the associative property. Okay, the associative property of addition. So that's the grouping. That's this one right here. Okay, getting closer to a solution. So 5 and 2/9 plus a negative 5 and 2/9 is 0, plus a negative 8.1. Okay, and what we say there is a number plus its opposite equals 0. Okay, and that is step 4. And finally, we get negative 8.1. So this is the additive identity. Okay. The additive identity means what can we add a number to? What can we add to a number and get that same number back? In other words, 5 plus what equals 5? 10 plus something equals 10. 11 plus something equals 11. And that is 0. So the additive identity, something that does not change its value when we add it, is 0. So 0 is the additive identity. So whenever we add 0 to something, we call that the additive identity property. Okay, and the questions. This is fun. Okay, so it's not just a matter of adding and subtracting. Yes, you can do this quicker and cut corners, if you will, and do things in your head or use a calculator. But this is not a lesson on adding and subtracting. It's a lesson on the properties. Here's example 1, 2. So we have 4 and 4/7 minus 4 4/7 minus 10, and these are grouped. Okay, the first thing I want to do is change it to plus and negative. So I'm going to take 4/4 minus 4 4/7 plus negative 10. Okay. Yes, we can do two things here, but we want to focus on one. Okay, so subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite. Okay, subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite. The next thing I'm going to do is take 4 4/7 and change this to plus a negative 4 4/7. Plus 10. Okay, so this was minus, and that gets distributed. So plus a negative is minus, and then minus a minus is plus. So now we have plus a negative and plus a plus. The opposite of a sum is the sum of its opposites. The next step is we're going to move these parentheses and put them over around our like term. So now we have 4 4/7 plus negative 4 4/7. Parentheses around all of that, and then plus 10 outside. And that is associative property. I'm going to start abbreviating now because that's a lot of writing. It's the associative property. Now I'm going to get 0 plus 10, and what we say there is a number plus its opposite is 0. A number plus its opposite equals 0. Okay, and then finally, the answer is 10. That is additive identity. Okay, adding 0 to something and getting that same thing is the additive identity. Okay, 5 plus a negative 4 4/7. Now I'm going to show you how to separate a fraction away from it, because we have a whole number and a fraction. So we're going to say 5 plus negative 4 minus 4 sevenths, because the negative 4 and 4 sevenths is all negative, so if I split it up, it's negative. Well, there's a, and actually let me write it with parentheses. So let's see, I will put this in parentheses. I'll say negative 4 plus 4 sevenths, like this, because then the negative will get distributed. Okay, a mixed number is equal to its pieces with the same sign. Okay, a mixed number is equal to its parts. In other words, a negative 4 and 4 sevenths is the same as negative 4 plus a negative 4 sevenths. We have negative 4 plus a negative 4 sevenths if I were to distribute. Now I'm going to do what I just said, which is distribute. So it's going to be 5 plus negative 4 plus negative 4 sevenths. And that's the opposite of a sum is the sum of its opposites. Opposite of a sum is sum of opposites. Okay. Again, lesson 8, example 1, if you don't understand what that means. Okay, now we're going to regroup. We're going to put the integers together. So I'm going to put parentheses here. Those are grouped together. And then, so I'm just moving this parenthesis, this big parenthesis, over to the 5 and the 4. Okay, and that's associative. Associative property of addition. And now 5 plus a negative 4 is 1, plus negative 4 sevenths. Okay, and all you got to say there is 5 plus negative 4 equals 1. We're just adding a negative. Okay, now I don't have like terms here. I can't add or subtract something that doesn't have the same denominator, and I need a 7. So 1 is 7 sevenths plus negative 4 sevenths. Okay, the reason for that is 7 over 7 equals 1. And now 7 plus a negative 4 is 3 over 7. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're not going to focus on the rules, the properties. We're not going to write the properties down, but we want to use these same steps. Okay, so don't cut corners. We want to rearrange and show all of our work. So I'm going to say that this equals negative 5.2 plus 3.1 plus 5.2. Okay, first step was I got rid of that negative and called it plus. Okay. Step 2, I'm going to take negative 5.2 and leave it where it is. I'm going to move this 5.2 over next to this 5.2 because they're opposites. And then I'm going to put that 3.1 at the end. That's commutative property. Okay. And now negative 5.2 plus 5.2 is 0. Okay. Add an opposite to something and you get 0. And then 0 plus 3.1 is the identity property, and we get 3.1. Okay. This one here, I'm going to split up the fraction first. 32 plus negative 12 plus negative 7/8. move the big parentheses now. 32 plus negative 12 plus negative 7/8. Okay, so now I move these big parentheses over to this here. And 32 plus a negative 12 is 20 plus negative 7/8. Okay. 20 I can convert that to eighths, which is 160 eighths. Or I can just see that this is almost 1. It's 1/8 shy of 1. So if I subtract 1 from 20, I get 19, and there's another 1/8 needed to make a whole number, so my answer is 19. If we're taking 7/8 away from 8/8, I could count 20 equals 19 plus 1, and I can consider 1 as 8 over 8. So then minus 7/8, if that helps. 19 plus 8/8 is 20. And then 8/8 minus 7/8 is the 1. Right? Okay, the first thing I'm going to do here, I see that there's a double negative. So 3 1/6 plus 20.3 plus 5/6. That's the first step. Move the fractions next to each other. 3 1/6 plus 5/6 plus 20.3. Okay, commutative property of addition. 3 plus 5 is 8. 1/6 plus 5/6 is 6/6 plus 20.3. 8 and 6/6 is 9 plus 20.3. The answer is 29.3. Okay, this one here, 16 over 20 minus a negative, so let's get rid of that. 16 over 20 plus 1.8 minus 4/5. But we're changing this to addition, so how about plus a negative 4/5? Okay. (16 over 20 plus a negative 4/5 plus 1.8. I'm putting all my fractions first, my decimal last. I need common denominators when adding. 5 will go into 24 times. So I had to multiply this by 4 over 4, which would give me negative 16 on top. Plus 1.8. But when we add opposites, we get 0. And that is the identity property of addition. 1.8 times plus 0 is 1.8. Okay. Explain step by step how to arrive at a single. So it says, explain step by step how to arrive at a single rational number to represent the following expression. Show both written explanation and the related math work for each step. We've been doing that up until these examples here. Now we're going to get back to it. Okay, so I'm going to write negative 24 plus 1/2 minus 12.5. And actually, I can say plus negative 12.5. Okay, negative 24 plus, minus a negative is plus, and plus a minus is minus. So we want to change it to addition. So subtracting, we're explaining now, explain. Subtracting 1/2 is same as adding -1/2. Okay, and that's going to equal -24 plus -12.5 plus 1/2. Okay, this is commutative property. Of addition. Commutative property of addition. So -24 plus a -12.5 is a -36.5 plus 1/2. Okay. Add both negative numbers. Okay. -36.5 plus 0.5. Okay. 1/2 equals 0.5. And finally, -36.5 plus 0.5 is -36. Okay. And there's our answers. Okay, that's the end of lesson 9. Review your properties. 0. Adding a number to 0 is the additive identity property. The big parentheses is the associative property. Rearranging numbers in an addition problem is the commutative property of addition. Go do your problem solving.